Shalom and greetings from Jerusalem, Jane. This is my second video update of today. If you missed my first video update, please go and find it on my social media. When I made the first video update, I gave you breaking news that 5 people had been brutally murdered in a horrific terrorist attack just outside Jerusalem. 2 Palestinian Arab terrorists came in from Judea and Samaria. They crossed into Israel illegally, and the police actually just arrested an Arab from East Jerusalem, and he has been accused of transporting these terrorists into remote junction. This place was completely packed. I shared videos on my social media platform, on my Telegram, and you see how many people who is at that bus stop. The traffic is stopped, bus 62 is stopped in traffic, and all of a sudden these 2 terrorists with their Carlo submachine guns started firing at people. And according to eyewitness reports, they entered one of the buses and they simply just started executing people. 4 people were brutally murdered at the scene, and later 2 people succumbed to their wounds. So now the death toll stands at 6. I want to read the names. Levi, Yitzhak, Pash, Yaakov, Pinto, Yisrael, Matsner, Yosef, David, Mordechai, Shteintzag, and then the last victim was a lady coming from America, moving to Israel. Her name was Sarah Mendelson, 60 years old, here from Jerusalem. Several of these men was actually rabbis. One of them was on his way with his books in his hands to pray and go to the Western Wall this morning when these wild terrorists plainly executed him standing at the bus stop, murdered for no other reason than being Jewish. It was a scene of pure horror and devastation. People were fleeing. I shared several videos. Please go and follow my Telegram channel for all the video updates that I can't share on other mainstream platforms. So it happened again. It happened again where Palestinian terrorists decides to go out and murder people for no other reason than being Jewish. And now 6 funerals are going to take place here in the Holy Land. How many children are now going to bury their beloved father, their mother? How many spouses, siblings? It just never stops. It just never stops. So I'm sending my heartfelt, put on these t-shirts and just say from my heart, I'm sending my deepest condolences to the families of these victims. May their memory forever be a blessing, and may God comfort their families. An IDF soldier, a religious IDF soldier, and a religious young man, a civilian, neutralized and eliminated those 2 terrorists. If they had not been there, the carnage, the death toll would have been much, much higher. About 12-15 people were injured and brought to different hospitals here in Jerusalem. And according to some report, one of the people injured was a pregnant lady. So it happened here in the remote area, junction, which is just outside Jerusalem. I started hearing police. I started hearing a lot of sirens going by. And then the news broke about all of these precious people being brutally murdered. Just being out and about, civilians sitting in the bus, waiting for a bus, murdered for no other reason than just being Jewish. In the midst of this, all of a sudden my phone is blowing up, and now we have red alerts because the vile Houthis decided, let's try and murder more Jewish grandmothers and babies. So within 30 minutes, 3 drones from the vile Houthis in Yemen was taken down. One of them was close to the remote airport, which was actually hit by a drone yesterday. So in the midst of this nation being in mourning and trying to process that 6 people were murdered, people had to run for cover because the vile Houthis in Yemen decided to join the party in trying to murder more Israelis. Like I said, 2 brave men, a soldier and a civilian, took out those 2 vile terrorists who committed this horrific terror attack today. Think about all of these families who now have to bury a loved one, who now have to go the long way to the cemetery. Too many broken hearts and too many shattered families here in Israel. How do you even start to comprehend, to process all of this trauma that constantly is afflicted upon the Jewish people and the Holy Land? And my thoughts are actually going to Gaza now, because what have we seen year after year after year after year? When there has been a terror attack like this today, what do the so-called innocent civilians in Gaza do? They go out in the streets and they pass out candies and cakes and sweets, and they celebrate and they cheer for the murder of Jews. That is what would have happened in Gaza today if the IDF was not in cleaning house. So that's what happened in Gaza. These are the innocent civilians that the world are more focused about than of the dead Jews. I'm also thinking about, in order to bring all of our precious hostages home, in these last 2 years, some of the things that traumatized me the most and made me most sick and had to go and throw up was when I watched the hostage handover, the hostage ceremony, where we saw our precious hostages, civilians who were brutally dragged into Gaza and starved and beaten and raped and abused. In order to get those home, Israel had to release thousands and thousands of savages. People like the 2 who just committed the atrocities today, who just murdered the 6 people here in Israel today. Terrorists who blew up cafes, who blew up buses, who murdered Jews in the streets, in the privacy of their own home, standing at a bus stop. Thousands of these terrorists has been released to the cheers of their families and to all the Palestinians. In order for civilians to come home who had done nothing, Israel had to release thousands and thousands of these demonic, evil terrorists. And the world just watched in silence and didn't cover all of these terror attacks because it was just Jews being murdered again. So what happened today? I watched a British TV station who was reporting about this attack just after it happened, and they said, let's wait and see. Let's wait and see who the perpetrators are. You know, there are different scenarios. You know what he said? This could be a clash between settlers and Palestinians. Are you kidding me? 6 precious Jews waiting at a bus stop and sitting in a bus, being plainly executed. This could be another battle between settlers and Palestinians. Shame on mainstream media. Shame on mainstream media. So again, I'm sending my heartfelt condolences to the families of those precious Jews who were brutally murdered today for no other reason than being Jewish. And funerals are already taking place this afternoon. And like I said, the Houthis joined in by sending 3 drones, and our Air Force took them all down. So for such a time as this, we stand with Israel, the nation that God chose as his own, the nation that he says, if you touch Israel, you're touching the apple of my eye, because what is precious for you, you have to protect your eye. If anything gets into your eyes, you are taking out. It's so fragile. That's how God is describing Israel. So just before I started this video, I actually had 3 ambulances just rushing by. So in the midst of all of the trauma that we already carry in this land from Palestinian Arab terrorism, this nation is now mourning and trying to just process that 6 Jews were brutally murdered today, and what does leaders around the world saying, oh, we are sorry, but we need to have that ceasefire. Ceasefire with who? The ones who continue to say we're going to kill you and slaughter you in the streets and in your houses, and the failing Palestinian authorities who is paying hundreds of millions of dollars every year for the murder of Jews. And that's what they're going to do now. They're going to pay thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars to the families of those two terrorists who murdered 6 precious Jews today. So it's time for Israel to just say no more. No more of this. We are going to do what we need to do. So thank you for watching, and again I encourage you very much to follow my Telegram channel for all the up-to-minute updates, and especially also for I am very limited, unfortunately, on my Facebook. United, we stand with Israel. Bye.